Alright, so I got these ground, and then I realized that the two sides weren't going to match because I wasn't really paying enough attention to how deep I was going into each side of the pattern. So rather than do a kind of lopsided tree, I decided to just cut the bar in half and make smaller billets. It also gives me the chance to kind of experiment to see what's going to work better in terms of how I assemble things. So this is my billet here. You can see I've ground that down all the way, and then I've sawed the edge off. So this was, ooh, come on. It was like that. So I've taken that off. And now I'm going to take this, go like that. My tree's in the middle here. I'll kind of draw it in. I can kind of see it in the saw curve, but it's something like this. And then I'm going to stick a piece of 15 and 20 between, because I kind of lost a little bit of my 15 and 20 on the edge. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just left the pattern. I should have laid that pattern out a little bit differently than I did, rather than lay it out so that I had the 15 and 20 on one edge. What I should have done is laid it out just so that I had that step, and then put the 15 and 20 for the center of the tree in at this stage rather than earlier. Because what ended up happening is it ended up kind of getting S-ed out, and it swelled in one place, and it didn't run all the way across, and it wasn't enough to leave in place, so it ended up grinding all the way through it anyway, in most of the places. So it should be that my tree's trunk kind of does this, which is okay. That'll look cool. But in any case, I'm going to assemble this next like that. Right? So all this will be 15 and 20 leaves, and then the outside will be black. Once I get that forged out, I'm going to bring the aspect ratio closer this way, so it's elongated slightly, so that my trees are more pointy. Once I get that laid out, then I'll cut some pieces out of this, lay them into a tile this way with the fire in between, and then I think what I'm ended up doing is doing a bar of 150 layer, which I have laid out over here. This is going to be 150 layer stock. That will be the edge bar. I'll have tiles of this interrupted by the fire in the middle, and I may forge one of these down a little so that it kind of, there's two over the top of the fire, so that it looks like the trees are doing this in the background. And then I'm going to lay some 1080 over the top of that to kind of give a horizon line. And then I'm going to lay in a moon, a half moon of A203E and a piece of 1075 as kind of the sky. That was annoying. Once I have that laid out, then I'll kind of begin to forge my pattern, my blade out. I may go back in and lay stars or something. I haven't decided yet. But that's the plan so far. Yeah, plans. You know what they say about plans, right? All right, thanks, guys. Okay, moment of truth. Do we have a tree? Yeah, kinda. It's a weird tree. Tree-like. I think that'll work though. Morning, guys. So yesterday I spent all day fitting the parts together for the mosaic knife. I ended up changing my design slightly because when I started to grind the ends of the pattern flush after I sized the billets and started looking at what the pattern looked like for the tree, it looked like a weird, like, palm tree, not a pine tree. So I found that about half of it looked the way I wanted it to. So I ended up cutting the billets mostly in half, and I used a couple of the smaller ones in other places. So this is my general layout right here. Let's see if I can get this up without dropping all the pieces so you can see it. Oop. Oh, I dropped some of the pieces. All right. So this is my general layout with pieces falling. These are all the trees here. Somewhere in here, this piece here, that's the campfire. And then this is going to be the moon. This is 15 and 20. And so, part of what I want to show you on this is how I started to assemble this. I started by first I started by assembling this piece here. And this is all glued together with super glue. The super glue will disappear in the forge weld. It'll just be carbon. But it allows me to assemble everything and get everything fit the way I want it and to fit multiple parts together without being super fiddly. So this is see if I can get this on camera so it shows. Maybe. So this is 3 pieces. This is the campfire tile, and then 2 trees that I've cut in a V on the bottom, so they should be coming out behind the campfire. I wanted that below my horizon line, so this is my billet of 150 layer stock. So I milled out a slot for that, so this drops into it like that. And nice. It doesn't have to be a perfect fit, but you want a nice fit in there. And then I glued up the rest of this. So these are my tree line here. I have some trees poking out behind the tree line. So there's a tree here, a tree here, a tree coming up centered on the 2 lines here, and then here we have the 15 and 20 that's acting as the moon. And this block here is 1075. I've actually written on this. This is the 1080 that the body of this is made of. So this should all kind of tessellate out, and then you should see like the background there. The top piece is made out of 1075, the low manganese stuff, the same stuff that this is made out of. So that should just kind of blend together. That whole panel there, I custom machined a little piece for that fitting there, like there. See? And it's not fitting perfectly. I need to do a little grinding on that to fix it, but we can get that fixed. So then each of these individual tiles, I don't know if I can get this to show on camera. Maybe there. So what this is doing, each of these, I'll get a good picture of this and put it in the video. Each of these is half, and what this is the bottom half where it looks more tree-like. So I've kind of etched them in real quick and cut where I thought the most tree-like section was. And I've varied the heights of them a bunch, so they all look different and they'll be different heights. And then I started to build this up from the base. This took me all day yesterday, by the way. Like this. And then looked at each of the tiles. Put the tiles in there. Like so. That's my end plate. That's my end plate. That's this piece. That's this piece. No, that's not that piece. That's this piece. That. And then there should be a teeny little tile here. That's a little teeny tree. That one goes in. This way. Should be one more. Oh, there it is. And I did it this way so that I can see where all the heights are. I also laid out my tiles. I won't hold it up again, but you can see how on my tree line kind of does this, because when I finish this billet and get it all welded back together, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to have one piece that will be the end piece here will end up being cut at a slash for the point of the knife. I'm going to cut the back of it. I'll draw this to make more sense. You can imagine my billet is like this. I fill in here. Tree line kind of comes like this. Moon's here. Background's here. Okay, you can kind of imagine it something like that. My moon being here, right? I'm going to slit this up straight, right? Like that, and then I'll fold this out. That'll be the tang, so that my pattern doesn't shrink when it runs into the tang. The face, I'm going to cut this way. Instead of forging a point, I'm going to cut along that dotted line there, like this. And what that will do is it'll let me elongate the point straight without kind of crushing it down, and I can control the iteration through the point. Because of that, I like just didn't put the trees as high. I made them kind of shrink so that as the point of the knife comes up, the bottom will stay light, but it'll look like it's kind of going off in the distance, I think. I hope. We'll see. So yeah, so that's where we're at with this project. I'm going to finish gluing this up today with super glue, and then hopefully tomorrow I will weld this up, maybe Monday. I'll weld this up, and then I'll probably end up cutting it in half, and we'll see where it goes from there. The plan is to weld the frame first solidly, and once the frame is all welded up, then I will go back and just kind of surface grind things close. Not perfect, because there's a lot of height difference. You can see. I don't know if I can show on camera. This is not easy to get camera shots of. Those height differences going up and down like that, not a big deal, but I want to put a cap over both sides of sheet metal. If it's too much, then it's not going to really work. So I want to have this closer. So mostly from this side I'm going to grind that, but I want to get everything kind of super glued together and solidly in one piece before I do that. I also may just fit that a little closer in there. That feels a little hot now. We'll see. I might take a little off that piece. The fitting on this was pretty persnickety, and I spent the better part of yesterday, about 7-8 hours, just fitting all these parts together, getting ready to weld them. So that was fun. Anyway, so that's where I'm at right now with the Ashoken project, and we'll move forward with that soon. Thanks. So I kind of figured I would show you the technique I was using to kind of assemble this. So this part's already been done. I'll kind of build up the rest of this. Now that I get the fit right, I'll drop that piece in, all right? And I'll just put a little super glue on there once it's in where it's supposed to be. And this is just enough to hold it in place while I get everything else welded together. I want to make sure those surfaces are clear, so I'll go and just quickly touch those on the grinder, get rid of all that rust. Or if it's super shallow like this, I'll just clean it up on a piece of sandpaper, just so everything has to work a little less. Piece that goes here. And I'm trying to keep everything basically flush to the opposite side here. Making sure everything is correct direction is important. Where's my 3 little spacers? 3 little spacers there. This was just one. That's just a single. This is all just from sitting overnight, so it's very shallow. I don't know if you can see this. This is the end cut from a top, so this actually was this way on one of these tiles. But it looks pretty tree-like, so we're going to include it at the tip. It's going to see a lot of distortion there anyway, so having a little change in the shape is not a big deal at the tip. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Just a little quick set. Now I can use this whole piece as a unit rather than a single kind of piece. Like, this is all close enough on this side, it's not perfectly flush. I'll leave that alone. This side I'm gonna grind a little off of. Let's see. This is the 3. Boom, boom, boom. Yep, did that a few times yesterday. So a lot of these pieces were custom cut, and I changed thicknesses to get them to fit in the places. If I had a little more planning, I may not have needed to do that. But it is what it is. There we go. Now that's ready to deal with as a unit instead of just as a bunch of pieces. From here, I can TIG weld these on the ends, you know, flushing one side so that everything is nice. And then I can put this piece back in, go surface grind them, get them all fit, TIG weld this to the outsides here, put a sheet on each side, and it's ready to weld up as a packet.